There is an important change coming to crafting with the April update for New World. Now the patch is actually coming Monday, which will be tomorrow when I release this, but it might already be out when you watch this video. And for some players, this will be a big change. For a lot of you, might not impact you yet. So what on earth am I talking about? Well, I'm talking about the Replica Tempest Heart gear. If you're an armorer, you're probably already familiar with this. You know, you take these like green items from the dungeons, the expeditions, and they allow you to craft these like replica versions of the items you find within those expeditions. And quite frankly, most of that stuff has been not that good. However, the Dryad set, which came from Genesis for the heavy armor wearers, has actually been quite useful. And it looks like something similar is happening with the Tempest Heart gear, except there's an extra little twist, which I think is important for the future of crafting. Now, it is worth keeping in mind that all of this gear is bind on pickup, so that if you craft it, you can't trade it, it's going to stick with you, you can't give it to a friend. The key thing is that it's going to be way easier to craft it at gear score 600, except there is a little bit of a problem. So the light armor version of the set, well, that gives int and focus, which I don't think is that useful for many builds. If you're a healer, you're probably going focus and con, and if you're a mage, I'm guessing it's probably int and con as well. I actually don't know for certain. And really, it's a similar story with the medium gear. The medium gear is strength and dexterity, which sure, there probably are some builds out there which might find it useful, but not really that common. At least I don't think so. Feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. However, the heavy armor is constitution. A little bit like the Genesis Dryad stuff, that is also constitution. And now we are talking. It is quite similar, but there's a key difference between the Dryad set and this set for two main reasons. One, it's way easier to get it to gear score 600, and two, the perks that you can get are quite different. So for example, with the Dryad armor set, one of the perk buckets included resilient. Resilient is not naturally included in this perk bucket. Obviously you can craft it with resilient, you'll just have to use a perk mod to do so. With both the Genesis set and the Tempest Heart set, you have a chance of getting weapon perks. Now the key thing here is that those weapon perks are different. But let's say you wanted to craft like a Tempest Heart replica gear and you wanted resilient on it, you'd probably be going for the resilient perk because it looks like the only way of getting it. Then you'd be hoping for refreshing and then your weapon perk of choice. Now there might not be a combo out there that many of you actually want, in which case fair enough, but there's still this really intriguing thing of it being easier to get gear score 600. So let me go on the PTR and show you what I mean. Right, okay, so here I am on the PTR, and now let me just go to the forge here and I'll show you the Dryad set, right? So from Genesis, we're going to look at the Dryad set. I don't think it'll matter which one I pick, so let's just pick the helm. Now, let's say that I pick all the tier 5 mats here, and we can see the gear score potential here is 545 to 570. That's just straight up. Obviously, you'd need to have the sticky vines. I can't craft that because I don't have it on the PTR, but obviously you need to keep in mind you need to get these from the dungeon. But yeah, so we can see by default here, gear score 545, 570, and obviously if you have the food, you have all that good stuff, you can get that up to 600. Just to show that on a normal armor piece, it's exactly the same. Now, let's look at the Tempest Guard helm, for example. Oh, well, you may already seen an intriguing difference. Let's say I put in Asmodeum Runic Leather Phoenix Weave. Obviously, I still need Desecrated Flesh, which is going to come from Tempest Heart, so you're going to need to run it or buy it off the auction house. But the potential gear score is 595, 600. I am not wearing any armor. I've not got any trophies. I've not got anything like that. I don't have the food, for example. Let me prove that. See, look, I'm just wearing the standard armor here that you get in game. I don't have any trophies here. Let me show you that as well. Which one is it in? It's in character bio. Literally, I only have one house and it doesn't have any trophies in. And you could see that you can instantly craft 595 to 600. Now, let me obviously just go and put in one major trophy into the one house that I do have. Let's decorate, and here is the major armor trophy. Oh, what great, beautiful precision that I have there. And then let's run back and we'll try the Tempest Heart helm again, shall we? So let's select it here. Where is it? There it is. And I'll quickly change that to Asmodeum, and there you can see it, 600 out of 600, and all I'm using there is one major trophy, right? You don't even need to use the trophy if you have either the food or the armor. So obviously it's going to be a lot easier to craft gear score 600 items with this set. Like, you don't have to gamble anymore on it being legendary, so you're going to get 3 perks pretty much more consistently. So if you have a 2 perk item that you really like, well, now if you're an armorer 200, it might be worth crafting yourself a gear score 600 piece because you're only now gambling 2 of the perks. Obviously you should set one of the perks yourself. There is then obviously a question about, can you get these like to 600 without using the ultra rare mats? Well, you can. I'm not 100% sure how you would get the minimum gear gear score up, because like, let's say I look at this helm, obviously, you know, if I put in all of the hardcore materials, the tier 5 stuff, you can, with all the buffs, get this to 600. I'm not sure what buffs increase the maximum and which ones increase the minimum. I can't remember off the top of my head, but there is at least some evidence that you can get to 600 without having, you know, all of the Asmodeum, for example. You now no longer need Asmodeum to craft gear score 600 stuff. You know, I imagine here, if I had the food, which I think increases the minimum by 15, I would get gear score 600 items without using Asmodeum. Obviously, it's bind on pickup, but I think this could be really important right now for some players. And just to show you a different combo, you could use Asmodeum, but you know, maybe we try Smolderhide, maybe we try Blister Weave, and again, we're at gear score 600. So this opens up a lot of potential. There's a question whether or not you even need your armoring trophies. You probably do, because as I said, all this stuff is bind on pickup, but it's really fascinating right now. Now, I talked about armor, but it actually applies to some weapons as well. We can see here that the Corrupted Heart Warhammer, obviously, I mean, presumably if I put in that, yeah, you can see I can get gear score 600. Again, you can get that with, what's that stat got? 24 strength. Not sure what the perk pool is. I'm not sure how you get Madness Incarnate, but you know, you're going to be able to craft this stuff without having all of the max trophies, which I find really fascinating. You know, the spear here is pretty much the exact same thing. I'm not using all of the tier 5 mats either. And it also applies with the magical weapons. I think there are some stuff here from, if I can find them, where are they? I'm not very familiar with the arcane station, but yeah, we can see there's the life staff, which, you know, has focus on it. Again, I can craft gear score 600. So if you have Arcana 180, I presume you'll be able to craft gear score 600 items just without needing all the trophies and the food and the armor and all that kind of stuff. I think this is pretty important. A lot of it is going to depend on the perks that you can get. I haven't checked every combination of it. It looks like there is some good-ish combinations, at least for the Great Axe and the Warhammer, but you know, the chances of getting them are probably offset by the fact that you don't need to use all the super rare materials if you've got the armoring sets and all that kind of stuff. This is a pretty important change, I feel, and I sort of feel like it effectively like a catch-up mechanic, but like a very subtle one. At first, those little like desecrated fleshes that you need from Tempest Heart, probably going to be super expensive, but then it's quite cheap to run that dungeon, so you could probably just go run it and get it yourself if you want it. The perk buckets, well, they look sort of quite limited, so I'm not sure how easy it will be to get a really good combination. It seems right now that only the heavy armor has actual any use. The light and medium seems pretty weak, but really I think this is important for the future of the game. Obviously, on the roadmap, we have 2 future expeditions being released this year, and considering they seem to be going up in difficulty, it's not unreasonable to assume and expect that quite frankly they'll be even easier to craft gear score 600 items from them. Maybe we'll see a different system where you can even craft like gear score 625, who knows. Now, does this reduce the value of trophies? Maybe a little bit. I think now that like I can get to 180 in Arcana and make myself a gear score 600 like fire staff, that's pretty interesting, and I don't need the trophies. Does the value of trophies come down? Yes, but really this change here only benefits people who actually have armoring to that skill, or that stat to that skill. If I wanted to craft something for a friend, then of course I still can't use these. I'd still have to get a timeless shard, get all the Iron Guardsman insignias and all that kind of stuff, and it would still be very expensive. But things are getting a little bit easier, and I think that's nice to see overall. If you enjoyed this video, do press like, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Have a most beautiful day. Come and follow me on Twitch. Goodbye.